So hi, welcome to our podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Kyle from Real Friends.
and some questions to say about the upcoming album Blue Hour. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you guys feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's been awesome. It's been really cool to I think we've released two or technically three of the songs we've released already, and just it seems like every time we release a new song it just gets better and better, and people are very stoked for it. So it's been a long time since we've released an album. So I'm very, very excited.
Hell yeah. Did
Fuck
not get
yeah.
a chance to listen to the full record, unfortunately, but the singles so far have been fantastic.
Immaculate, yeah.
Immaculate. Wow, thank you.
Hell yeah.
Damn right. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah. So I guess first the meaning, um, yeah, we were just kind of like we didn't have a name for the album at all, like while we were writing it. And then after we recorded it and everything and we were home, just kind of like really thinking about a title, and the word blue kept coming up, just because we were trying to think of like what's the what's the what are words associated with like sadness and stuff, and blue kept coming up because when we wrote it we're like, this is literally the saddest album that we've ever written. So
Yeah.
so that was like really important to us to have something that like was associated with it. And normally I feel like we usually just pull like a lyric or something for a title, which I think is totally fine, but I don't know, we just wanted something that really just right away associated. So blue kept coming up. So there was like, at first it was kind of like, what if we just called it blue? Like that came up, and it was like, I don't know. And I was just like Googling like stuff, blue stuff, and like Blue Hour came up, and I'm like, I've never heard of that. I've heard of Golden Hour. Like, what's Blue Hour, you know? And there was a couple of websites, because Blue Hour really is the time in between like day and night.
Hmm.
And even and night and day. So it's like kind of like a small window of time, and like the sky looks like this certain shade of blue. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then there was just a couple websites that mentioned this like more like spiritual, like emotional meaning behind it.
Huh.
Which is kind of what I gravitated towards the most. It was just mentioning about how it's sort of like this way of acknowledging the past and acknowledging the pain of the past, but then also feeling hopeful for the future. So yeah, so I was like, wow, that actually like was really, really fitting to these songs. So so yeah, so that's why we ended up calling it Blue Hour. And then the album art came after. I think the album art came after the name. Yeah. So we just kind of wanted something really dreamy and, you know, blue sky and stuff, and just something that felt kind of like a fever dream. We kept talking about, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Truman Show.
Mhm.
But there's a scene in that movie where they like are on a boat and then they hit like a wall, and it's like looks like the sky.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like messes with your brain. And that was kind of the vibe. We kind of took inspiration from that for the album art, and then just adding like a window in the sky, like thought that was just kind of cool, and just felt like, I don't know, like it looked cool, but to me it's also like enough, like it's kind of artistic enough to where I feel like you could kind of like put your own meaning to it, you know.
Yeah.
We were definitely trying not to like we even said it when we were writing the album, like not trying to lay it all out for everyone. It's like leave it open to interpretation, you know, like the meaning.
Yeah.
Even it's like it can take on many sort of many meanings for people.
Yeah.
Or the title rather. And then the art is the same way. Like I just look at it as like kind of like that, the window in the sky. It's like just kind of like looking through all the things that have happened, like what all the songs are about and everything, like sort of, you know, like if I had a dream and I saw that, I'd be like, whoa, that's wild.
Pretty freaky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Huh, I love it.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Yeah. We went in with like just some chunks of songs and riffs, and very like not very much at all, honestly. We spent January through March in Florida with Andrew Wade, um, writing most of it, and then we recorded a big chunk of it there as well. But yeah, it wasn't easy, honestly. Like there was a couple times, well, one time specifically when we were writing that like we were all kind of like, yeah, I don't know if we got this.
Oh
Like,
wow.
yeah, like it was yeah, we definitely kind of hit a wall at one point where it was like felt like it wasn't coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very tense, honestly, for about a week. Like everyone felt a little like, yeah, I don't know if we're doing it here, I don't know if this doesn't feel like it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it wasn't until we kind of like talked about it and we broke down a lot of walls and we were just kind of like stop trying to write the best Real Friends song ever, like the catchiest song and like the most memorable. Like, let's write songs that just like make you feel something and that are more leaning on emotion than anything.
Yeah.
And it started to come together after we were like, everyone kind of saw the vision more, and I think also it came together when we started trusting each other more, not everyone questioning every step of like this riff or like this line in this song, like
Yeah.
think it could be better or whatever, like just being like, okay, like, like I write a lot of the lyrics and it was like, maybe there's a lyric that someone didn't like, but it was like, yo, like I like it, like let's sit on it, like I believe in it, like trust me,
Yeah.
or like Dave or Eric, our guitar players, it's like, yeah, that riff's kind of cool. I don't know. Like, it's like letting them be like, well, I like it. So, like, I want to keep, it's like just leaning on that more. We've been doing this a long time, but it, it's funny how you learn more and more things, like, even though we've been doing it a long time, it's like learning to trust each other, like 14 years in, you'd think that you kind of like got that already, but like we kind of didn't until this album came together, honestly.
Yeah. So you mentioned that like the roadblock was kind of like trying to basically like write the best Real Friends song ever, and then there was like that realization. So was that like the ultimate roadblock, and like why you guys were butting heads was like you wanted to write the best Real Friends song for the record, or was it something else?
It was kind of honestly like past things put in our brain, of like, I don't know, like we did a lot of co-writing before we did this record, and it was kind of honestly like uninspiring, and like we've always done a lot of co-writing for all of our records, and there was something about it I felt like we kind of hit a wall. And like I think a lot of the people, very talented people we were writing with and stuff, but um yeah, a lot of them I just felt like it just wasn't what we wanted to do. It was kind of more like pop oriented, like things, and like just lyrics that I felt like I always felt like we went into a writing session and I felt like my lyrics were almost getting like watered down.
Gotcha.
It was like, yeah, these lyrics are like too sad or like too heavy. It's like, well, like these are real,
That's the point. That's the point.
Yeah. And I think it was when it all kind of clicked when we were like, yo, like people don't listen to Real Friends to hear the same thing that they hear when they listen to like Taylor Swift or like Machine Gun Kelly or these all awesome artists and awesome bands, and like I see why they're popular and stuff, but like I was just like, real people listen to Real Friends to like be like, damn, I'm sad and like I feel that I'm not alone, and it was like when we started leaning on that, which I kind of always knew, but you kind of forget that sometimes, it's like you get caught up in these things where you're like trying to just like you're trying too hard almost, you're just leaning on these different things. It was like just not a clear vision.
Absolutely. You mentioned January to March of this year was when you guys were writing and recording?
Yes.
Wow. So it's September, it comes out in a month. So you didn't sit on it very long.
No, I mean I feel like every time we do something, it's like, we gotta go. Like everything's so quick. So yeah, no, we didn't sit on it too long. And Yeah, it's crazy to think about that. It was actually within the same year. So
Yeah.
it feels like a long time ago. Because we to us, it's like we've been sitting on it for a long time.
Hmm.
Like when we first got it, I listened to it like so much.
Hmm.
And then I was like, I actually just listened to it yesterday for the first time in like a month. So
Aw.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure being your own label this time around helped fast track the release process even quicker.
yeah. We are self-releasing it under we just came up with the record label name Midwest Trash. So
Hmm.
just something we've kind of always said, and it's kind of been under the band name for a while. We've had shirts that say Midwest Trash and stuff, and
Yeah.
people have always really liked it. So we're like, yeah, let's just call our label that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it did speed things up, I guess, in that regard of like being an unsigned band again. We're just kind of like, yeah, I want to do this idea or this. It's like, cool, yeah, let's do it. It's
Mhm.
like not passing it through a label or like anything like that. Like it's kind of more like us and our management just doing everything. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's like I post about the record all the time and I'm not like passing it through a label person of like, hey, should we post this or do that? What do we do? I'm just like, it's just is a lot more like the band behind everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great. So, what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
None of the songs stick out to me that took like a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say there's one song specifically um called I Was a Deer in Your Headlights, and it's actually the first song on the record. And when we wrote the song, we wrote the vocals over a completely different instrumental. It was like totally different song.
Mm-hmm.
and then and then Dave and Eric, uh, like me and Cody, our singer, and Andrew Wade, who produced it, like we wrote the vocals over this song,
Mm-hmm.
and then they took the vocals and redid the entire song musically, like
My
all
God.
different music. So, um, so yeah, so that was kind of special, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess that did take a while. Because at one point they're like, yeah, we don't like this song. I don't even know if it's going to be on the record. And then it ended up being the first song on the record, which is cool.
Yeah, now it's the introduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, and then what was your next question? What's my favorite?
yeah, your personal favorite.
Um, I feel like it's constantly changing, but
Mm-hmm.
they're actually, I guess, like selfishly, I'll say there's a song called Orange and Red, and it's not a traditional song necessarily. It's kind of like it's literally like this guitar riff, and then there's like talking over it, and I'm talking over it. So of course it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Uh, so but it's kind of like spoken word, like poetry kind of thing, like talking over it, and then there's just this like big breakdown, and that's the song. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's kind of more like an interlude kind of track, but I don't know if I'd say I guess it's like my favorite song, but I really like that we did something that was just like different
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and not like, because every other time we've written a record, it's been like, all right, write 10 songs. All right, now just stack them on top of each other. With this record, it was very much more like trying to create more of an experience and like a journey of
Mm-hmm.
the songs and making them flow and everything. So having a song like Orange and Red, where it literally is like spoken word poetry and then just this heavy, super heavy breakdown at the
Yeah.
end. There's just like, I don't know. It's just cool. It kind of proves that we really broke down walls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Damn right.
That answer perfectly flows into the next question, which is how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer, shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
We figured it out in the studio, which was cool.
Okay.
Because Andrew Wade, the producer, it was nice to have his opinion on it
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of like how things flowed and um yeah, actually like the the very opening riff of I Was a Deer in Your Headlights, it's just this like acoustic riff, and we actually ended up just using the demo take from it that was literally just recorded like with some mic and like all of us sitting in a room. Like it was just like, yeah, this
Aw.
idea. So but yeah, this was the first time we were like really, really intentional about the track listing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like I listened to the album like I mentioned yesterday for the first time in a while. And I felt really proud of that, like listening to it. And it definitely feels like there's like different pockets of like, I mean, it's sad. Like a lot of the album is sad, but it's like there's a couple moments of like hope. And then I feel like it just ends on like a really sad note. But I feel like it's like perfect because like that's what Real Friends is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love it. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
Yeah. Do you mean more like when we were writing it or like actually like in the studio?
Both is usually if you could give two answers, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I think lyrically when I was writing it, a lot of the stuff that I contributed lyrically, I mean like a lot of it was coming from a place of like, the last couple of years for me have been, I mean the last like 3 or 4 years really, it's been kind of a whirlwind. It's been I think like ever since like after COVID and like the pandemic and everything, it was like I don't know. I had a really hard time like coming back to real life. Like I was excited, but also like I came out of it like sort of like I'm an introvert, but I came out of it like even more introverted.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I think my brain was kind of like thinking along those lines, I guess, of like sort of a little isolated at times by choice. And then my dad passed away in 2022. And that, yeah, there's a couple there's this whole song on the album about that. And then there's like a lot of different things that touch on that. But lyrically, yeah, it was really just, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just very sad,
Yeah,
just always, but that's my outlet though, too.
exactly.
It's like for me, um, that's always been my therapy, is putting lyrics into Real Friends songs and having people be, like I've had these thoughts and these things that have happened in life and it sucks and then someone's like, oh, the song helped me, and I'm like, oh cool, like it makes sense, like or maybe not make sense, but it at least gives somewhat of a positive glimmer of hope in like the negative.
It's like that's
Absolutely.
why I do this.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Like I've kind of had a couple moments like that with like we released a song called Waiting Room and it's about my dad passing away.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, that was very hard for me and like it's very complicated. Like we at times had a complicated relationship. So it's like it's a lot of stuff that I'm still working through.
Mhm.
And it's like, some days it really hurts. And the response we've gotten on that song has just been incredible. And I don't even mean as far as like business wise or anything, like that's been good too, but just the people just being like, this song, I listened to it and I'm going through losing someone and it helped me. Or like there was people like the ones that stuck out to me was like someone was like, or multiple people really, they're like, yeah, my grandma died like 15 years ago and I miss her and I haven't really like thought about her in a while and the song made me think of her. And I'm just kind of like, wow, like music's crazy, like how powerful it is. It's
Yeah.
like to bring up these memories of like people. So yeah, so that I think that's been really therapeutic in a way to kind of be like, all right, my dad died. Yeah, it sucks. It still sucks. And like that's a void. But being able to write a song about it and have people get something out of it, I mean it really like speaks to me and like helps me be like, all right, like it sucks, but like people, I'm helping people with this. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, and then I guess to go back to your question, as far as us in the studio goes, I think the first half, like we started on a high, I feel like we felt really good. We wrote a bunch of instrumental tracks before we did any vocals. And then we started to feel like the time crunch. We're like, all right, we got to get to writing these vocals. And then that's when it was kind of like we felt for like a week or so, felt like things weren't coming together like we wanted them to. So then it was a lot of panic. And then once we got over that week, it was like kind of like, all right, like everyone started feeling really good. And like it just feels really good to feel confident. And like I feel like we've never felt this way about a record. Like I've never like in the past it's always been like, oh yeah, these 3 or 4 songs on this record are really good, and like the rest are cool, but it's like
Mm.
everyone in the band is literally like loves every single song on this record, you know?
Yeah.
Like it feels like it just feels special, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like people once people hear it, they're gonna really understand where I'm coming from with that. Like it just feels like so real, you know?
Yeah. So, kind of looking back onto your past releases, do you think you guys have had that kind of wall up where you're just forever chasing making the best Real Friends song? Or do you think that's just a recent development that you just recently broke down?
I mean, I thought I um I actually thought that it was more recent
Hmm.
until I actually really like thought back on this because we all talked about it and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, we've been chasing this we've been chasing for so long
Hmm.
trying to write the song. You
Yeah.
know, it's like what's gonna be because I mean like we're a known band, but we're
Mhm.
not like huge. You know what I mean? It's like we're not this huge band.
What's your hey
And
there, Delilah? You know, is like what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
chasing.
like
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. I feel like it was always that.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
that's actually a really good way of putting it. It's like what's gonna be like the song where it's just like, you know, it's like Mayday Parade. It's like Jamie all over. Like we were
Yeah.
just on Sad Summer, and it's like no matter who you are, if you like know any of these bands, like you know every single word. Like you know, it's
Yeah.
like for us, we're like, what's gonna be our song like that? You know,
Hmm.
and we were chasing that for a long time. You know, and I don't care anymore. It's like I want to write music that is just like real and like
Hmm.
leans more on emotion and like leans more on frankly like the sadness and like the just overall like vibe than anything, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think we were chasing that. Like we started I feel like we've channeled an energy with this new album that we haven't had since like 2014,
Fuck yeah.
2015. Like
Okay.
it like that's what it kind of felt like.
Hmm.
Um because in 2015 we started writing with different co-writers,
Hmm.
which was awesome. And like we've had a lot of lasting relationships through that and have written some awesome songs with some co-writers. But then I felt like we almost went too far into that, you know,
Hmm.
and like leaned on that too much and like kind of like it watered down some of our music, I think, you know,
Hmm.
even some songs that are very well known and successful. It's like I feel like there's some of those songs like miss things that um you know that I want to see in Real Friend songs now. You know, it's like
Hmm.
channeling more of the just angst of everything, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I felt like it was holding us back, but I felt like more than ever for the last like 3 years or so, it was really holding us back because
Hmm.
we're just like writing songs and I feel like we weren't really like talking about like what do we want it to sound like, what's our goal here, like what is Real Friends. Like it was more just like is the song cool, like oh does this song have energy, like does this
Hmm.
lyric feel like clever, does this guitar riff sound cool. Like it was just like leaning too much on that and it was just like once we were just like yeah like I want to hear a song that just makes me feel something, you know. It's
Hmm.
like I felt really confident when in the studio the I mentioned earlier the song Waiting Room. It
Hmm.
was like we wrote the vocals for that song and like no one in the band had heard it except me and Cody and the
Wow.
producer.
Yeah.
And it was like I was like, all right, I think we're done. Like everyone want to
Hmm.
come listen. And it was like everyone listened and just everyone was just crying.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right. I'm like tears in my eyes. I'm like, all right, that's what I want Real Friend songs to do to people. You know,
Absolutely.
it's like I want, and it's not even like, oh, we want you to. We joke about it sometimes, but it's like, you know, we don't want people to hear our songs and be like sad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's not about that. It's about hearing songs that are sad
Hmm.
and for people to be like, I feel that I'm not alone. You know,
Exactly. That
so
connection. Yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends and dark with headphones on? Is workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
I'd say headphones. There's a lot of little things in the album
Ear
like
candy.
Yeah, we just put a lot of stuff. Like there's like talking, like there's some talk, like there is a song that, I mentioned that has talking like more up front, but there's like talking and little clips like all over the album and like
Yeah.
just different little instrumentation that we put that are just like buried in there that just like add vibe and everything. So to me, it's very much like a headphones. I would love to know how many people will actually do it, but I think honestly, just like headphones, eyes closed, laying on the floor, listening to it, but it's hard to keep people's attention spans these days. So
Yeah.
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 All right. So this one should be super, super quick off top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
The saddest album.
The saddest out. Damn right. All right.
Yeah. I think that perfectly sums up the past 25 minutes of conversation.
Right. Yeah.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
I think really just feeling not alone, It's like I know I've said on this conversation but I've always said it. It's like that's the one thing that has never been changing for our band, It's like, to rewind back years and years ago, like when we started this band, like we never started this band to like be what it became. Like it was literally just like I was literally like done with music, which is funny to think about because I was a child, but I was like thinking like, yeah, I'm done playing in bands and this is it. This is my last band. I remember saying that.
Wow.
So I bring that up because it's like the fact that, we've written music that has helped people, like people say like, oh, your music helped me through high school, through college, all this stuff. Like now I'm married with kids and, whatever. It's like this band was never supposed to be that. It was literally just like dudes hanging out on a Friday night, playing songs together, and then things just started to happen.
Yeah.
So I think for us, for this album, and for every album to come, that's what it's about. It's about connection and not feeling alone. And like I really hope that people will be able to hear this album and just really feel like not alone, and also maybe like a little more understood in their emotions.
Hell yeah.
Damn
I love
right.
it.
I love it. Yeah. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this record?
Um, I think just really feeling like this is it, like this is like, especially like with Cody, because if people don't know, I mean, like he's a newer vocalist, and that was like a big change for us, to change vocalists. It almost 10 years into a band, So I think that was the most rewarding thing for me is when we were doing vocals and stuff. I was just like the delivery of his vocals and everything, and just the way that he was able to capture the emotion of like the lyrics that I've written, and even like lyrics that we've written together and everything. Like it just felt like it finally fell into place.
Yeah.
And I told him when we were in the studio, I'm like, damn, I'm like, that's what I've always wanted you to hear from your voice, like while you've been in this band, So I feel like we kind of like really like got to, and I mean he's done a great job like ever since he's joined the band, but it was like finally clicking with that, and finally just feeling like, all right, like, because for us, even like in front of everyone's eyes, it's like we're trying to figure it out. So I think finally with these songs, it's just like, damn, like you just sound like so emotional, and he just like has really brought it. So
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
From everything you've been saying the past 30 minutes, it sounds like this is the album. Like, you might have your Hey There Delilah on this record. Come on, man. Damn.
Yeah, well, like, we were talking about it, and like, I know people will feel differently when I say this, but I don't think that we've ever written an album that's like the album. Like, I feel like we've always been a band that is like, I mean, it's awesome that we've been able to do it as long as we have. And like, it's awesome that we've been like a staple name in like pop punk and emo music. But like, I don't think that we have an album that like, some of these bands like Knuckle Puck, it's like they're doing like copacetic, like album show. It's like I don't think, or like Citizen did like a bunch of stuff for like youth, and
Yeah.
it's like I just don't think that we've ever had an album like that, and it, which is okay, like that's fine, like that's just my opinion. I know I've said that to some fans and they're like, no,
Yeah, I'm like,
this album,
that's not how the pop punk fans are. They all are dedicated to one record, and the comments are not going to be filled with, no, this one, are the shows you got to do the full album plays of,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like we finally, though, to me, like this album accomplishes that,
Yeah.
and it's cool to me to do it this far into our career as well, like I feel like, no offense to some bands out there, but a lot of bands that have been doing it a while, it's like they get to our age and like they're kind of like out of gas,
Yeah. Yeah.
like they're kind of like, all right, like got a couple songs here and there, but for the most part, it's like leaning on the nostalgia of it all.
Mhm.
And I think that's something for us, is like we've really been pushing to like not lean on nostalgia, like, and like really just try to like push forward and be like, that's why I really think like this is the best Real Friends album that we've ever had, and it's like I'm really proud to say that 14 years in. So
you guys still got it.
yeah, somehow we still got it. I don't know how, but
still got it, man.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You had to guess for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Usually probably like peanut butter pretzels.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm a
good
big peanut butter
choice.
pretzel guy. Yeah.
A little protein, kind of naughty still, but yeah.
On the healthier side, you feel kind of good eating it.
Exactly. Like a little.
Yeah.
And on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Wow, that's a good one.
Thank you.
I feel like it's got to be something sad to make sense. I guess like maybe like ramen,
Ramen.
like the ramen that you just like make for 99 cents from the store,
Oh, top ramen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got to match sad. It's like, that's a sad meal. That's Real Friends.
Yeah, it's definitely not a happy meal, I don't think. So
Yeah.
that's fair.
All right.
All reliable.
Yeah.
And for the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Definitely pizza. I love pizza. It's my favorite food. We're from Chicago, so we have a lot of good pizza around here. There's a place called Aurelio's. That's my favorite. So yeah, it would be, if it's death row, I got to get the biggest pizza they have. So the family size pizza, half cheese, half spinach, easy sauce, well done. And then, I guess last drink would have to be a coffee. Got to drink some cold brew black.
All right. You want to be wired before you die?
Yeah, why not? It doesn't matter anymore.
That's true,
great.
I guess.
Yeah.
And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
I guess this might not be, it's kind of fictional, I guess, but like Back to the Future was like my favorite movie growing up.
Yeah.
So I think, in that world, kind of going back and forth in between.
With Doc.
Yeah, exactly. Hanging out with him.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Damn right.
And I've not have asked the last question. Every single person that you've spoken to have said that is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Black.
So, like, if you had to like pick an actual color, what would it be?
I've never really had a favorite color, honestly, but
What?
blue, I guess. I don't know.
It's
Blue
fitting
hour,
for the album.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
True,
I don't know.
true.
It's funny because I've never been like, I have a niece and she like loves pink, It's like she's like, oh, pink, everything's pink. It's like, even when I was a kid, it was never like gravitated towards the color, and now I mainly wear like all black all the time, so I always just say black. So
I'll let you have it.
All right.
Yeah.
So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Outside of the album, we're doing a tour. We're doing a headline tour. It's our first headlining tour in a really, really long time. It's going to be this fall. We're going out with Can't Swim, Carly Cosgrove, and Slow Joy. It's a full U.S. tour. So yeah, realfriends.band for tickets. It's going to be a great tour, playing some new songs, some old songs, maybe a cover or two. Gonna be good.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be a movie.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Snow. It's been Kyle from Real Friends, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.